All right, so welcome everybody to our free online seminar on how loneliness and social isolation can increase the risk of dementia. We are also going to be discussing how to overcome brain fog and memory loss that is happening to so many people today at extreme early ages. And does this mean that we're on the road to dementia? We honestly won't know until you get there, but losing your memory now and brain fog now is not good. Um, Losing your cognitive skills right now, or being able to do some simple tasks that used to be so simple and now simple things are taking a lot of effort, is not a good sign. So we want to show you how you can recognize these symptoms, what you can do about it so that you are able to live an abundant, long life, because longevity is great, but you want a healthy, long life. So with us today is Lorna King-Bob, and Lorna is a nurse and a professor, and she's also a worldwide leader in healthcare with the International Nurses Association, and she has been honored for her exceptional success in the nursing community. In fact, in June 2021, out of more than 10,000 dedicated healthcare workers at Trillium Health Partners, Lorna was awarded and honored a healthcare champion. Her picture's actually printed on the elevator door at the Trillium Healthcare Partners. So if you've been by that hospital, you might have met Lorna before. She has her RN, Bachelor of Nursing from the New Brunswick, and Masters of Arts and Masters of Education from Central Michigan University, PhD in Readiness. And she has actually started her own healthcare practice called Live Well Pathways. And she does healthcare and home senior care services. So she's been around, she's done lots, and she's actually dedicated her life and her career into helping people who are not well to live a healthy life. And I got to tell you that she's an advocate for the Energy Shack. Boy, does she ever send, you have to talk to this person, and I need you to talk to this person. So she really, when she sees true, genuine health and how to help it, she is right there to try to encourage people. But with her nurse practitioner background, she can take your health to a different level. So we're really honored to have you here with us, Lorna. Thank you for being here. So Lorna, we're just going to get you to unmute, because I had to mute you, unfortunately. Excellent.
Okay, good night, everyone. As Carolyn says, my name is Lorna. I have, however, sent Carolyn certain keywords that I would be using tonight. So if she's got them up, that you can see them on the PowerPoint, if you can use your cell and just take a picture of it, so that would help you in understanding some of these lingo that I'll be using, the medical lingos. So we're going to be attacking social isolation and loneliness, the risk factors, and where it can lead you, how we can prevent it, and much more. As you know, what's happening here? What's happening there? As you know, we humans are naturally social beings. We're dependent on and motivated by social relationships from infancy to old age. These relationships enable us to survive and thrive. I know every one of you would like a good laugh ever so often. And you know certain people who make you laugh so hard that you can't forget them. And it's always a joy being around them because they send out the good hormone like your serotonin. And when you leave them, you feel so upbeat. And that's how it should be. Mind you, there are other friends, when you're finished with talking to them, you're so depressed. So you know what to do with those friends, eh? As a nurse with a healthcare agency, I know and see firsthand that we have in Canada a crippling, and we're grappling with a rapidly aging demographic that the experts are sounding the alarm on the increasing mental and physical health, as well as the cognitive impact of loneliness and social isolation amongst our older population, our seniors. I would inject and tell you here, I have taken care. I won't tell you much information, the retirement home she's at, but this lady was only 35 years old, and this has been about 5 years ago. She's still alive, 35 years old, and she was diagnosed with dementia. You had to treat her as if she was a child. That's how bad it was. But she was a joy to be around. So this is why loneliness, social isolation, and dementia are amongst the most prevalent psychogeriatric syndromes that are detrimental to our seniors' well-being. The National Institute of Aging in 2009, Dr. Lisbeth Nelson, she noted, and I quote what she said, a key significant question is whether social isolation and loneliness are two independent processes affecting health differently, or whether loneliness provides a pathway for social isolation to affect health, unquote. The National Institute of Aging has done a lot of research. That's all they do on aging, the aging process. And they have linked social isolation and loneliness as the higher risk for a variety of physical and mental conditions. I'll repeat that. NIA has linked social isolation and loneliness as the higher risk for a variety of physical and mental conditions such as high blood pressure, heart disease, obesity, a weakened immune system, anxiety, insomnia, that's when you can't sleep, dementia, Alzheimer's, and even premature death. So you can see and conclude dementia is way up there with heart attacks or heart diseases and cancer. The Harvard Health Medical School published that loneliness is associated with a smaller brain and poor executive function skills. As you know, as we age, our brain does shrink. And at that point, it's like a tree with the leaves all flying off. You see what you get just before winter falls? Sometimes that's what the brain is like. When they talk about executive functions, that's your activity of daily living, your inability to plan, focus, your attention, to remember, or to even carry out functions that you normally should have been able to do. And this may have an elevated dementia risk. The extent of this relationship, however, remains controversial. The other scientific neuroendocrinology studies claim that loneliness is one critical risk factor of cognitive health. And you know, dementia is cognitive health. Loneliness increases the risk for all causes of dementia, vascular dementia, and Alzheimer's. I would just take a step back and tell you, dementia is really not a disease, it's symptoms. It's the symptoms like cognitive insufficiency where you're cognitive, you're not remembering things. It's your judgment, inability to retain information. So dementia is the umbrella with all these symptoms that's happening. For example, dementia can be reversed. Example, if you've got vitamin B12 deficiency, your doctor, according to the policy in Canada, has to call you within 24 hours and you start getting that pink injection because your myelin sheet and your messages that go to and from your brain, they're disturbed. If you're not treated, you then go into full-blown dementia. So as you can see, some dementias can be reversed. And dementia, as I said, is symptoms. It's not the disease, it's the symptoms, like your cognitive insufficiency or inappropriateness, your judgment skills, your focus and attention. Going to the bank, you don't know what to do anymore. So therefore, dementia is the umbrella. And under that umbrella, you've got Jacob Creutzfeldt disease, Parkinson's disease, vascular disease, Huntington's disease, Lewy body disease, and the list of all dementias go on. But they have the symptom. For example, they affect certain parts in your brain, like your hippocampus, which is your learning and your communication, like your temporal brain is your communication. So when these parts are affected, then the dementia is attached to that part of the brain and gets its name. It is said that the expected prevalence of dementia in 2050 would be over 152 million people. Digest that. Digest that. It's a killer. Digest that. Could you still live without your brain? It begs the question, what are we doing about it? It was Dr. Coles who made this. He's from the Institute as well, and he made this quote, and I want you to listen closely to what he says. Loneliness acts as a fertilizer for other diseases. Loneliness acts as a fertilizer for other diseases. Dr. Cole said the biology of loneliness can accelerate the buildup of plaques in arteries, help cancer cells grow and spread, and promote inflammation in the brain, leading to Alzheimer's disease. Loneliness promotes several different types of wear and tear on the body. People who feel lonely may also have weakened immune cells that have trouble fighting off viruses, which makes them more vulnerable to some infectious diseases, unquote. That's quite profound, I must say. Well, you might ask the question, how does loneliness and isolation come about? When you've got tragic experiences, for example, the death of a spouse or a partner, these tragic experiences can zap you right into dementia. Separation from friends and family. Divorce. This is a stress by itself. When you're now alone, it can zap you. All you live on is memories, and that can zap you right into dementia. Retirement, loss of mobility, lack of transportation to get anywhere, new and alone in Canada, new on a job, and the list goes on. You get the drift. Conversely, if one engages in meaningful, productive activities, this boosts their moods or this boosts their moods. Social interaction helps because it gives us, let me say that over. Conversely, that means the other side of it, if one engages in meaningful, productive activities like playing the piano, learning a new language, this boosts their moods. Social interaction helps by having friends. That's the connection. It allows you to think, speak current affairs. It gives you a sense of purpose. So you can see why social connection and activities help to maintain one's well-being and cognitive function. It allows you to think. It allows you to be constructive. Studies have shown this outcome, that it's very, very necessary and it's possible. It is said that elderly people are particularly susceptible to becoming isolated with loneliness that affects 12% to 40% of those 65 years and older. So we can see why the incidence of cognitive decline, memory impairment, dementia, Alzheimer's are higher amongst our seniors who report feelings of loneliness and experience early death. The National Institute on Aging has confirmed that 41% of Canadians aged 50 and older are at risk of social isolation, and 58% have experienced loneliness. Loneliness creates stress. And this is why I think it's 97% of seniors rather be taken care of at home instead of going to long-term care or retirement home. I think retirement home is much better if you get involved in the programs and activities. But with long-term care, you can see decline in a matter of 2 weeks and early death because there aren't any stimulation. And if there are, they're very limited. And I've been there. In conclusion, we can see that early interventions are very, very necessary. However, please note that mild cognitive impairment is the transitional phase between cognitive decline caused by normal aging and diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease and dementia. Also, despite several studies on the impact of isolation and loneliness on cognition, the mechanism behind this association are not clearly understood. It was Dr. Cassiopo. Her husband died. He was doing a lot of research. He died in 2018, I think, Mr. Cassiopo. So she now take over from she's a doctor as well, and she's taken over from him. And Dr. Harkley as well in 2009 concluded that these irregularity has been linked to a dysfunction in the diurnal cortisol release in the body, and thus concluded loneliness is a significant risk factor for all types of dementias and Alzheimer's diseases. That's our conclusion. Loneliness, social isolation now can create dementia, or it's a risk factor to dementia and Alzheimer's disease. So yes, we can say that isolation and loneliness are risk factors for Alzheimer's disease-related dementias in the elderly population, and that loneliness and or social isolation are risk factors for and are associated with greater cognitive decline. All of this is talking about dementia, early dementia. because of that loneliness. You're playing with your own thoughts. There's no new thoughts. So it's just a recurring of the old thoughts. I must inject here that in my research from Frontiers Neuroendocrinology Research, it stated that social isolation and loneliness affect brain functions and mental health differently in women and men. It is reported that older women are more likely to living alone and are more inclined to feel lonely compared to older men. Have you ever visited an older family member and all she talks about is the past experiences or past life? Nothing going forward. Nothing. No stimulation. She lives in the past. And because she's living on her past thoughts, nothing is alive in her. So she's slowly declining. And these are the things that bring around early death, because it begs the question, what's the use of living? And they do voice that. They do say that as well. They voice it. Working in some of these facilities, it breaks your heart to see that they just dropped off. And when you do visit them at Christmas time or once a year, they can't even remember your name. You're the first daughter. They don't even know who you are. It breaks your heart, yes. But what have you done to eliminate such fast deterioration? It is reported that older women are more likely to live alone and are more inclined to feel lonely compared to older men. But the overall conclusion is that women have a higher incidence of cognitive decline than men because of our hormonal secretion decline. That's estrogen. You know, we live, that keeps us alive. The estrogen declines, as well as our biobehavioral mechanism. But I do feel that more research is needed on women in this comparison. And I think it's very inconclusive, and I think more studies and research should be done. I must say, as social beings, we are accountable to help our lonely children, our parents, our friends, our neighbors, and even strangers in the same way we would treat ourselves. Treating loneliness is our collective responsibility. As a nurse, let me make some suggestions to you, our precious seniors. Dementia can and has affected people as young as 30. They call it the early onset. That's the label, the early onset of dementia. Yes, COVID has taken away many of our loved ones. You are afraid to socialize and worry about getting this virus you cannot see. Please, I beg of you, stop it. Wear a mask. It's Christmas time. Get connected. Play carols and sing. Go to the mall for a walk. Get back to relationships. Go to the certain functions at your church. If you're not in a church, get in a church. Volunteer at the food bank to do some packing or to feed others who are not able to feed themselves or who don't have it. Go to a toy drive to help. Volunteer to drop seniors to an appointment or to visit a senior. The Alzheimer's Association have volunteers who visit seniors, who call seniors. Get attached, get connected. Hospitals need volunteers. Hospital clinics need volunteers. We see the sign as well. Call a friend daily. Have meal with her or him. Cook and invite friends over. Enroll to play a piano. They play the piano enroll in a senior exercise program. The library, I know there's the Glen Erin Library right at Gencia. They have so many programs for seniors. They have games, they have swimming, they have exercise classes. I've done a lot of presentation there. They have a wealth of outlets and connections that you can be involved in. Get involved. Go to the library, get active, take your mother out, let her meet friends so that she can link with them. Please be active. Stimulate your brain cells that are slowly dying from inactivity, loneliness, social isolation, and a lack of connectedness, a lack of connection. Let us all live again. Let us all breathe again. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorna. Wow, this is really encouraging information, and you know, it is a real truth, and it's a. I'm just going to stop sharing the screen for a minute. It's the reality is that you are absolutely 110% right. Is that this is real, and many of us are watching it happen, and we don't know what to do about it. And the truth of the matter is that it is preventable. And I think that we play the role, or we think that genetics plays, you know, my parents got dementia, so that means I'm going to get dementia. But the truth of the matter is that genetics plays less than a 10% role. That's the truth. And I think that there isn't enough talk about stress and loneliness and how that's truly affecting people's lives. And as a nurse, I mean, you're seeing this firsthand. So that's very, very real. And I'm sure that you are also seeing that this is happening, you know, very often, especially if there are long periods in the hospital, or like you said, you know, if they've lost a spouse, the cognitive skills go down. And I'm going to talk in a few minutes about the food aspect and the health aspect. But if anybody has any questions right now for Lorna, we're just getting some really good feedback here. But if anybody has questions for Lorna before I begin sort of my half of the seminar, but I think that this is something that's it's very real. And what I like that you brought out here is that because it can be prevented, it's really on us, I believe, to do something about it. And it's very, you know, we live very busy lives, and sometimes we think that we don't have the time to be able to do something about it. But we can, and I think it can be very simple. It doesn't necessarily have to, you know, take even a full day, even just going, you know, once a week, making those names of people that you know at church, or maybe neighbors, and just take an hour or two on a Sunday or the weekend if you have to, or a day off work. We think, oh, I've got a day off work and I take myself to the spa, I'm going to take myself shopping. Let's turn this around and let's go make somebody happy. Let's go sit with an elderly friend or a shut-in person that can't get out very much. Play cards with them. You know, do something. So,
Darling, if I could say something as well, we have to realize we all tend to depend on our doctors. These doctors that we see, they're not versed in treating dementia. There are certain drugs induce dementia, but if the very family doctor, he hasn't had much experience, and now, if I could let you in on a secret, they're now doing courses. They're forcing them to do courses because they delay and delay. And by the time you get around to doing something, she's now full-blown dementia. Even that blood work that I spoke to you about, vitamin B12, this there's some of these dementias that can be reversed, but your family doctor is not fully aware. So you need to educate yourself so that you can go in and talk to him as someone with knowledge, because they push you away, but you have to be very tenacious.
Yeah, and there really is not any, as you said, there's doctors are feel very hopeless, and when the dementia and Alzheimer's come in, because they're not trained, nor is there any real known cure for such disease. So
Right.
the medication is there to keep you comfortable, but it's certainly not, there's certainly not a known cure. But even in my profession, when someone comes to me with Alzheimer's and dementia, I've had success in slowing it down, but never reversing it when it's so full blown
Right.
that they're forgetting people's names. So prevention is absolutely the best cure for this. Yeah, so thank you. So I also wanted to share with you guys, and let me just bring back up the screen here. I also wanted to share with you that and Lorna, I'm not sure if you have to go, but I want to share that Lorna actually, I mean, there's so much that Lorna does, and a retired nurse or not, she's certainly not retired in the work that
No.
she does. She's very full time. And you know what? I think this is, I mean, for those who know, we are a Christian organization, but and so I throw Bible verses out often, but uh, the Bible says that, you know, you should labor all the days of your life under the sun. And so I have seen a rapid decline in people's cognitive skills once they retire, because they don't have that social interaction with the people at work. They don't have that purpose with the day to day and the schedule that they have to get to. I know that work can sometimes exhaust us, but sometimes if you don't get enough activity or volunteer or schedule in your retirement years, there is such a rapid decline. And I
Yes.
think that we don't even realize, like Lorna said, is that we're going through loneliness.
Yes. And I think what's happening as well, because you say we're all busy, but how many of us connect with our parents, our children? Sometimes when we connect, it's too late. And or when the doctor calls you to let you know your mother needs someone there at home with her because she went away and they couldn't find her. That's the extreme. What happened when, have you ever visited her? Do you call her? So some of these things are preventable.
Yes, and I think it's important, especially if you're part of any kind of volunteer group or church organization. There are many elderly that don't really have family around. And, you know, it's nice to adopt a grandma or a grandpa sometimes, because they don't have kids to visit them. They don't have grandchildren.
Yeah.
I can think of 2 or 3 people at our church that I really try to stay in touch with, because I know they don't have the family, and they're so encouraged when we visit. But it's not nice to be alone. And as you opened up your seminar with, we're social beings. We're social beings. And so yes, it's good to take some quiet time, but naturally we're social beings. I mean, again, I'm just going to go back to the Bible and say, you know, Adam was there in the garden with all these animals, these beautiful plants, and even God walked around in the garden with him, and he said, it's not good for man to be
Be
alone.
alone.
Yeah.
And if I could just say something as well, some of these clients, when I visit them and talk to them, they're crying for their daughters. And I might
Mhm.
call their daughters, but she's so busy, she doesn't visit. And when she does visit, it's too late because I can't take on that responsibility, but it's too late. So, what I'm saying is simply this: make it a day of the week that you can spend some time, cook some food with mom. I've visited so many of them, they can't even remember if they've eaten. Can't remember if they've eaten. And you can see how gaunt, how dehydrated they are. And that's why when they leave the house, the environment is different. When they do find them, they're either dead or in some place hiding and cold and shivering.
Yeah. So sad, but it's a reality. So before I get into the last part of our seminar here, talking about the food aspect, brain fog, memory, and what you can do about it right now, I just wanted to mention that I know I gave Lorna has an amazing biography and history and all the work she does, but she also is very active in the and is one of the founders of the Spark Scholarship, a Bayside project. So in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they actually help students get scholarships, and they
Yes.
do fundraising for that. And they've been very successful to help young people get to school and get a very good education. And so if you would like to learn more about that, or you would like to donate to this amazing Spark Scholarship, which I personally have donated as well. Her sister is the leader of the organization. So please take a picture or write down that email, annieb1@rogers.com. And they would love your support to help more young people. I mean, really, Lorna's hands are not just in the elderly, they're everywhere. She has a passion for young people as well. Anything else you want to say on that, Lorna?
Some of these kids, they're so brilliant, but the mother doesn't have any money to send them any further. So you know sometimes what the end results could be. And
Yeah.
some of these kids are now branching off to be doctors. So the results are astounding. So if you can help a healthy mind, we shouldn't let it be wasted. It's terrible to waste a brilliant mind.
100%. And we can all have brilliant minds when we apply them. So yes, and if you need more information as well, or you can contact me about it too, EnergyShackJuiceBar.com. Sorry, I can't talk and type. Or you can even just call directly to the store to ask about it or to make a donation. You can call the Energy Shack and make a donation by credit card, and we can send that directly to this organization.
And Carlin, you can put my number there as well. They can call me if they've got any questions. I
Sure.
can lead them to the right fountain to get help.
Yes, I will absolutely do that. So before I jump into this, Hadar has a question. Did you want to, Hadar,
Go
you
ahead. Go
unmute?
ahead.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hi there.
Nice to meet you, Lorna. Hi there. So I have a question. Yes, I have an elderly dad. He's active. He's in assisted living, and they have tons of activities there. But we are noticing that we need to push him. We need to keep telling him, go to the lecture, go to this, go to that. And I kind of feel, how should I say that? He needs reason to get up in the morning, kind of, right?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how should I say this, refire the fire.
So there are two ways because I work with some of those clients as well in my agency. So sometimes just paying someone to go there, it could be 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the morning, to get him. So he's building relationship, trust. So she comes and there's a routine, brush his teeth,
We
get him
we we
showered,
we,
and
we
get him
do have, yeah,
downstairs.
I'm sorry to jump in. Just we do have an aide. The initial idea was that she will be with him, that they will play games, she will take him downstairs. And instead she turned to be she's cooking, and when she's cooking, he goes back to sleep. I was like, that's not
No,
what he's there for.
so no, what we do in the summer, because my PSWs, they have role and responsibilities. My companion, they have role and responsibilities. If they negate that, I really get rid of them because they're useless to me and the person they're there for.
Right,
So
right.
in the summer, I can tell you, they have a routine. They go for walks, and she knows because she would, for example, I've got one right now at I won't call the name of the home. And he was just sleeping and missing his meals and all of that. So he was sick and in the hospital. So I took it over
Hmm.
because they called me. So we have built a routine. Dementia patients or patient forgetting need a routine. If they do not have a routine, their routine is loneliness, just vegetate in bed and die.
Right.
So there is a routine when he gets his, and the teeth has to be brushed because that produces infection. Then they have a day when they get the shower, and they're telling you, sometimes she goes there, all the clothing are on the bed already. He never knows when I'm dropping in. He gets a shower, he goes downstairs, and sometimes it's the stimulation, brain stimulation activities, be it a puzzle. What did he do when he was alive? Could he do some gardening? Could we show him a dog picture or a cat and he tells you the difference? And then we start talking about what they do. Stimulate his brain and you'll be surprised. But it has to be consistent.
Right.
So they look forward to this. Yes.
I don't know if you met this, but because I know about the routine, but he kept saying, you know, that he was working since he was 15 years old, and finally he can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. But that leads to nowhere.
So there has to be an approach. So I usually teach my PSW, my companions or PSWs, what is companion stimulation? What is brain stimulation? What is brain stimulation activities? And I have done, even for those bleeding in the brain, I am not bragging or boasting, but I've implemented a routine. And now I have 2 clients who have left the wide rehab, McCall. They have left earlier than scheduled because of the advancement I've brought them to.
Nice. Very nice.
So
okay.
if your heart is in it, because I treat my seniors as my own. Yes. Mom, how are you today? Lorna here. What's bothering you? Come on, I'm listening. I'm all ears. Let's get it. And you would hear her telling me, my daughter doesn't visit the food they bring last night, and I just let her go, and I encourage her to talk. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. You gave me some great ideas here.
Okay.
Thank you.
You know, Hadar, also, another thing that art therapy is wonderful. So whether that's like literally, you know, I mean, you would know what your dad likes, and this is for everybody, but like whether it's like building Lego or getting an easel, and they could do some painting, or, you know, filling in the numbers of the pictures of the numbers, or
we do all of that. Yes.
Yeah, painting a car model, or using clay or things like that. Obviously, some things, depending on the dementia level, would have to be supervised.
Right.
You know, even with the painting, they started in the morning. They start to look forward to finishing this project.
Yes.
Just trying to find what they like.
And one of the things too, when he does painting or anything he has done, you have a right to ask that rehab or assisted care to have a showcase of it. Don't care how naughty it looks to everybody else. You would see the difference in him. He would be so elated that others are admiring his project.
Yeah.
All right. Mike, you had a question?
Yeah, well, I just wondered, is that when dementia, does it starts from, could it be like when it's classified as those people who have lots of friends, who make lots of good relationship, do they get less dementia than those who didn't make relationships when they were younger?
Yeah, you can answer that, yes. Because what it does delay dementia, because he's got connections. So he's using his brain cells, so they're not vegetating and dying on him. And the brain is not shrinking as fast. So he's got connection. He's getting to laugh, so he can produce serotonin, the happy hormone. So he's connected. There's relationship. He's communicating because he is joining in the group. So he has to be a part of. Yes. So he won't have dementia early. No. He would get these things delay dementia.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That helps. So let's just use the last couple minutes to talk about preventative measures. So as Lorna mentioned right near the end of her seminar, she was talking about the cortisol effects that happen when you're lonely. When you're lonely, you are going to feel sad. It's an emotional stress response. And so whenever we have regular stress from work, projects due, we release cortisol. But you also get emotional stress. And that comes from being lonely. You're also going to release cortisol when you have a lot of emotional stress, like loneliness and feeling isolated and feeling rejected. I mean, I don't know what it's like. I have both my parents alive, my husband alive, my children alive, but you know, my family is like my best friends. I can't imagine if I lost my family and I was by myself. Like, you know I have a church group and I know I have friends to talk to, but that kind of emotional stress when somebody you've been with for 50 years, 40 years, 60 years, you've had a routine together, is taken from you, creates a lot of emotional stress, But also, speaking to the audience right now, that I don't think anybody in here physically has dementia and Alzheimer's, but a lack of sleep, even if you're not an emotional stressed out person or work and life doesn't stress you out, but if you don't get enough sleep, you release cortisol. So cortisol dump is ultimately what causes so much damage to the brain, because as Lorna had mentioned, you create damage on your myelin sheath. Your brain has all of these neurons and axons, and they communicate with electric signals. And that myelin sheath wraps, it's a fatty tissue that wraps your neurons. And if that gets broken down, and cortisol will definitely wear away at that, as well as a lack of B12 in your diet, you don't have good B vitamins, your myelin sheath doesn't get built up. If you don't have enough essential fatty acids in your diet, but especially stress, that's number one. So if you're already feeling like you're having brain fog and you're forgetting things, you should really take a little inventory of your life. Are you emotionally stressed out? Do you have more on your plate than you can handle? Or do you not get 7 to 9 hours of uninterrupted sleep a night? Because I will tell you that your brain is storing memories in your hippocampus. And that happens when you are getting past that 6 hours of sleep. You've got to get 7 full hours of uninterrupted sleep, friends. Or you're going to notice, I noticed the other day, I got woken in the middle of the night. I couldn't go back to sleep. I ended up on like 4 hours of sleep all day long. I was just like, what did I come here for? What am I forgetting? I couldn't remember. Like that day, I was just not remembering anything. I'm like, what's happening? Next day, when I got my normal sleep, I can remember everything, because your memories don't get stored very well when you don't have long uninterrupted sleep. And imagine, I mean, that was just a one-off. Imagine that's happening to you over and over and over again. You have insomnia. You're purposely staying up till 12 or 1 o'clock, but you have to get up at 6. This is not okay. You think you're functioning well, but you are creating detriments for years to come, because dementia and Alzheimer's is not an overnight situation. It has been brewing in your system for years. And then when this myelin sheath gets worn down, literally your nerves begin to grow over each other. You start to have inflammation because the nerve endings are exposed. And Alzheimer's is an issue of brain inflammation. So, and then your myelin sheath is missing, you're missing your good fats in your brain. And this can create, obviously, a shrinking brain as well. The other thing that's important to note, and a major cause of brain fog, is caffeine. Whether it's black tea, green tea, white tea, coffee, energy drinks, colas, pre-workouts, or chocolate, the darker the chocolate, the higher the caffeine. Caffeine hijacks your adenosine receptors. Adenosine is the hormone that is there to give you good energy through the day. It's also there to put the brakes on racy emotions. It helps you with your whole mental clarity. And if you are missing adenosine, that is a precursor for other hormones that are produced. So caffeine can also cause a lot of brain fog. And I hear it from my clients all the time because I have my clients give up their caffeine. We go through the withdrawals. We feel so great. And then they're just like, wow, my brain fog is gone. I used to be very cloudy and it's not happening anymore. So caffeine is also a reason for early brain loss, memory loss, and brain fog. And I will tell you, I read a recent study that 80%, they did a study, I don't remember how many patients with Alzheimer's, and 80% of them were regular caffeine consumers. So is that linked or not? Or is 80% of the population regular caffeine consumers? Not sure, but that it's very, very real. So getting a variety of nutrients in your body is so important. Your brain needs antioxidants. It needs B vitamins. Your brain needs B vitamins and antioxidants. So when you see the berries and the bright colors of foods and your red onions and even your regular onions are full of sulfur and wonderful anti-inflammatory properties. But all of your grains, your kasha, your millet, your buckwheat, your quinoa, these grains are loaded with B vitamins. So are your beans. And so this is what your brain needs. It needs a lot of omega fatty acids, as well as it needs a variety of colors to get the antioxidants into your brain cavity. So you really want to eat a wide variety of nutrients. But also what's important is brain food, your nuts, your seeds, avocados. But remember, just because I'm telling you that these are brain foods, you don't want to eat mounds and mounds and mounds of them. So a little bit goes a long way. You don't need more than a half an avocado in a sitting. You don't need more than a quarter cup of raw, unroasted, unsalted nuts in a sitting. But do a variety. But brain food is full of colors. It's incredible what a high antioxidant, a high plant-based diet can do. And I do, for those that are really starting to show signs of dementia and Alzheimer's, I do get them to consume a tablespoon of unrefined coconut every morning, a very good quality of coconut oil. It's a little hard to swallow the oil, so you can mix it with something if you need to. But the plant-based saturated properties, the saturated fats, are very good for the myelin sheath. But I will tell you, as Lorna said, laughter is good medicine. The best answer is to laugh a lot, laugh well, enjoy social connections. I mean, I tell people all the time, and this is not a permission for anyone to go and get some fast food, but I mean, a person eating a Big Mac very happy and laughing and joking, and the Big Mac doesn't bother them, they think it's good for them, will never do as much detriment as a stressed out vegan that hates their salad. So, you know, eat your food happy, but enjoy happy social connections, laugh a lot. I mean, that releases so many endorphins. Endorphins heal where cortisol damages. So you want that serotonin, you want those endorphins. It's so, so important. I'm missing one of my slides. I don't know, it might show up in a second, but water should be the beverage of choice. And water flushes toxins from your body, but also your brain is 75% water. Many people have brain fog because they are simply dehydrated. And that is so real. And so you definitely want to, in order to improve your cognitive health, fasting regularly. You could do that on your own. You can get it from the Energy Shack, but you want to monthly do 2 days, at least 2 days of and of course, talk to your doctor or your health practitioner before you do it, where you're fasting on vegetable juices or water for a day or two. But fasting regularly gives your body to catch up with the stored toxins, because when you've got all these metabolic waste in your body, you want to clear the toxins. When you have high fiber meals, and that comes from our plants, our lettuce, our cucumbers, our celery, these sticky fibers pick up stored toxins and flush them out of your system. Getting to bed early, friends, going to sleep after midnight, like that is just not good for anybody. Of course, God bless our nurses, our doctors, those who have to work nights, but it's still going to create trouble for you. Really do your very best to get into bed before 10 p.m. Water should be your drink of choice. And I really want you to get your blood moving. So high fiber vegetables, important for picking up toxins. Here it is. Your brain is 75% water. Drink lots and lots of water. Your weight divided by 2 divided by 8 is the amount of 8-ounce glasses you should drink. Your weight divided by 2 and then divide that number by 8. So that is how much water you need. And you need water concentrated foods like salads, like fruits. Very, very important. And friends, we've got to move. You've got to get out. You've got to walk. You need sunshine. You need exercise. You have to keep the blood moving. Your brain needs blood. The way that your body transports nutrients throughout your body, the highway is the bloodstream. So you want to make sure that everything you're putting in your mouth is really great for that highway transportation that day. And the more you move your body and get your blood moving, the more the nutrients get to go to all the right places in your brain and everywhere else. And it also keeps inflammation down. And remember, Alzheimer's and dementia, this is a brain inflammation issue. Cortisol, lack of sleep, high stress, sugar, processed food, it's a brain issue. So with that being said, you can throw some questions in the chat. It is 8:31. I don't want to keep you beyond your time, but for those who can stay for the question and answer time, you are welcome. And also just a reminder that if you do need some time to come away, we do offer retreats in Muskoka. You can come for 4 days. We have it in February. Exhilarating. Let us put you in the hot barrel sauna outside in the cold, and you get so hot. And then we put you in the cold pool. Your brain will remember everything for the rest of the day. But it's very therapeutic. We make all your organic meals. So if you need to learn more about that, you can just reach out to us. Either follow us on Instagram. It's the Energy Shack juice bar, not Energy Shack. That's a hacked account. So follow us on Instagram for more information, or just give us a call. Whether you need a detox, maybe you need a consultation so that we can assess your health. But we would love to connect with you so that we can help you on the road to healing.
Mm-hmm.
Lorna, any final words before I just answer? I go to there's a question in the chat.
So what I'll just say, thank you for having me. If anybody needs to pick my brain, want a little idea or a little plan of doing something with mom or dad or your son or your daughter, give me a call. You can get my number is 647.
I put it in the chat and I'll
Okay.
repeat it as well. But go ahead, Lorna. Sorry.
You can give me a call. I do consultations, but because of Carolyn, I won't charge you. I would just take a question from you and you can call me, I'll answer. I'll give you some ideas because I do it freely. So call me.
And you can charge them, Lorna. I give you permission. Pay her something for her time, or give her a donation to her organization. But we got a few questions before, and I want to answer the questions before. So there was a question that we received before the seminar that was just asking about brain fog, which I think I covered. And when did it start? And so brain fog and memory loss is not something new, but it's rapidly growing. So we have seen a rapid increase of this, especially after COVID. But over the last 10 years, the numbers, as you saw Lorna's numbers there, it's going to be higher than cancer in just a few years.
Yes, excellent. It would be.
And I really do believe it's linked to the food that we're eating. And because we're becoming afraid to socialize, that's real.
And what people have to realize, because of the demand for food, even chicken now is made from from cells from an animal. So everything we're eating now is not real, it's not natural anymore. So this is causing our brain to go into fog. Our whole body, as a matter of fact, would be inflammatory.
Yes, and remember that our animals are stressed out. Our cows are stressed out. Our chickens are stressed out. They're real beings with a frontal lobe. So we are getting that big cortisol release that they have in the food, and we eat it. We're eating their stress. I'm wondering, those cows are so depressed and so sad, mistreated. And we're eating these foods. So it's very real, the diseases that are being passed on to us with flesh food. And I know that our vegetables and fruits are not perfect, but they're definitely a better choice. Gamal asked a question: when trying to affect change with both young adults and baby boomers, it can be very challenging. So the different values, communication styles, and experiences of each generation. Lorna, maybe you could do that. I know you spoke to Hadar with some of them, but what kind of approaches have you had for positive outcomes with young adults and baby boomers that you're trying to get them to make a change when you're getting, and I can address this as well, but I don't know if you wanted to try that first.
Why don't you do it, and then I'll add on my section, my
Okay.
piece to it.
So what I would say, Gamal, because that's a good question, is that start small. So I know that, I mean, I do work with a lot of elderly people in my care, but also in my family members, and they see, my fanatical way of eating and drinking and, my exercise routine. And so I always encourage them to just start small. Let's just try making one change. You still want to have your pork chops, or you still want to have your beef, because many times, especially our elderly, they're attached to their food. This reminds them of when. So by making some small change, if they've got teeth, that's fine if you still want to have your meat, but let's try adding a salad before. Or maybe you can swap out their bagels for a gluten-free bread. Or maybe you can swap out their milk in their coffee before you take their coffee away for an almond milk. So do start with some small changes, and helping them to create healthy routines as well. Like, just encouraging them, every day, just go out for that 30-minute walk, and you call them and you remind them. So I don't know if you're talking, Gamal, about some of the baby boomers now that are aging, but even with young adults, I still encourage them to make one positive change, but unless they're motivated to do it through education, they don't really have the desire. So that education piece is so important. Coming on a seminar like this, booking a consultation with myself or Lorna, getting them to talk to them about, what, this is serious what you're going through. You think it's a small pain in your knee or your left side, but that turns into fatty liver, and this is how it's caused, and this is what you need to change. So that education piece is important, but also just starting to make small changes, I think, is also very effective.
And if I could add to what you've said, very well done, is that if you can they can literally read that education to see the foods and what the outcome, what is the benefit and what aren't beneficial. So if they can see how it affects their body, they can then make a turnaround, because sometimes they need to get that information, as she was talking about education, but they need to tangible, read it. It's research, read it, see what's doing to the body, then they can relate that to the pain in the knee, why they're having it. And gradually you'll see them coming over to your side. But education, and they have to see it and read it. And you'll hear them telling others. And you'll hear them talking of the improvement they're receiving from it.
Yes, agreed. The question is asked, which milk is better, almond, coconut, or oatmeal? So I can answer that question. So any kind of box milk, generally, you'll read lots of ingredients in it, which is not wonderful. So the best is to make your own. But if someone's a diabetic or trying to lose weight, the oat milk is not the best option because it's naturally high in sugar. Somebody who might have kidney issues and needs to be on a low potassium diet, coconut milk would not be good for them. But if you're, just average person, good health, almond, coconut, oat milk, it doesn't matter. You can interchange them. You can do one or the other. And as I'm seeing this beautiful crowd, I just want to, I'm sure that you've come on today because either you have some brain fog, memory loss, or other issues. And so if you would like to book a consultation with me, I'm going to recommend that you email me within the next 24 hours to info@energyshackjuicebar.com or call this number on your screen. And I will do a full consultation, which is usually $110 for 49. But just get in touch with me within the next 24 hours. And I put Lorna's information there as well, because maybe you need to gift that to somebody. Maybe like Lorna said, just get them to get the education. Maybe you say, you know what, I'm going to pay for your consultation. I need you to talk to Carolyn or to Lorna. So feel free to take advantage of that offer. Hadar asked about soy milk. So I don't personally have a problem with soy milk, but some people with thyroid issues or estrogen issues, they can't have soy milk. So soy milk, as long as it's a non-GMO soy milk, would be fine. Hemp milk is wonderful. So it's just, again, depending on what the health issues are, is going to depend on whether or not almond, coconut, oat, or soy is going to be good or bad. Lorna, darling.
And if anybody has any seniors and needing some care, in-home care, I'm available. Call me.
That's what I was going to ask. So you offer a practice that does private in-home care, companions, as well as PSW workers?
Yes. So my new name for my business is Dependable Home Healthcare Services. So I'm in the process of transitioning. So I deal with people who have, it's just like a hospital outside of the hospital, whether they have colostomies, G-feeds, anything at all. I do that, and I come in and teach the family members how to look for complications. And I also do the home care, the whole thing. So I do home care, plus I do health care. When they have intravenous antibiotics, they have to get, if certain surgeries, like if you have liver surgery, or if you've got kidney surgery, you have to go on certain blood thinners. You have to get it for 21 days. So I would come in and do that as well. I've got nurses who come in and do that. If you've got palliative care, companion, whatever you need, it's just like a hospital outside the hospital, and home care as well.
Lorna, is that only in the GTA area, or do you
anywhere care is needed?
Okay, but we have some participants here that are in the States.
Okay, so in the States, no.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. I put that in the chat. This is a well-needed service, and so I put that in the chat. Lorna, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge, your compassion for humanity. And thank you. We have 40 participants on today, and I hope that this was very, very valuable information, and that you will also take the time to laugh out loud, laugh hard. Remember some of those elderly people in your life that could use a visit, not just a card or a text message. Go see them, put your arms around them, play cards or bingo with them, do something, go for a walk with them. Just, use the time that you have here on earth effectively. And for those who, as you know, we are a Christian organization, I would like to close in prayer. If you would like to leave at this time, that's no problem. I take no offense. But I would like to have a closing prayer before we finish our session today. Father, thank you so much for just creating us so fearfully and wonderfully. And thank you that being social is actually something good for our health. That's so beautiful, God. You made us as social beings. And so I pray that you will help us to not be fearful, to be more social in a healthy manner, go for walks, tell each other jokes, and just sit in each other's company. Remind the people in the audience of those that they could go and visit, that they can make a phone call to, that they can go bring a meal for. Remind us, Father, the people in our life that really need some social help. And I pray that everybody listening tonight, 10, 20 years from now, if life lasts, will never have any of these diseases because we've made some healthy changes today. Bless our audience, bless Lorna and her practice and all that they're doing. And God, I pray that everybody will get a full, uninterrupted 7 hours of sleep tonight. I pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you kindly. Thank you guys for listening to me. Take
God
care.
bless you guys.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Same to you.